Hello and welcome to Kids Corner. It's Shirley and Sir Winston here, and we're on the set of the Lego that Mark has put together to tell us another story about Jacob. Now you may remember Jacob. He got his name from when he was born. It means grasping at the heel, and he was born holding on to the heel of his brother because he's a twin, but he's the younger twin, which meant that his brother was going to have the birthright. He would become head of the family and would get a larger share of his inheritance. But in some of the stories that you've heard, Jacob had Esau sell him his inheritance for some pottage, as they called it, and with the help of his mother, had tricked his father into getting Esau's blessing. And the last story you may have seen was about Jacob's ladder, because Jacob was leaving home because Esau, his twin, was so mad at him that his mother was afraid he might kill him. Well, this story is set probably about 20 years later, after Jacob has married and he has 2 wives, and that was part of the tradition of how they lived at that time, and he is going back to meet up with his brother Esau. So let's listen and watch the story that Mark has put together for us.
That same night he got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 maids, and his 11 children, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok River. He took them and sent them across the stream, and likewise everything that he had. Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he struck him on the hip socket, and Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. Then he said, "Let me go, for the day is breaking." But Jacob said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." So he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." Then the man said, "You shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with humans, and have prevailed." Then Jacob asked him, "Please tell me your name." But he said, "Why is it that you ask my name?" And there he blessed him. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, "For I have seen God face to face, and yet my life is preserved." The sun rose upon him as he passed Penuel, limping because of his hip.
Well, what did you think of that story? Have you ever heard people say, "I'm wrestling with an idea"? It means they're struggling with it. They may be looking at it different ways. They're not too sure. Well, in a way, in this story, Jacob was literally, which means it occurred, he was wrestling with God. He was struggling with God in a way to try to understand. And don't sometimes we kind of wrestle with the idea of God? We want to know what God is like. Can we see God? What does God do? And the Bible lets us know that it's okay to wrestle with the idea of God, that it's okay to have doubts. It's okay to question things. And so I want you to remember that. So shall we have a little prayer together? If you could bow your head and repeat after me. Loving God, thank you for being here. Help me when I am trying to figure out things. Help me to be kind to other people and look after your world. Amen. And we'll see you next time at Kids Corner.